Welcome to the Student Disability Center, where accommodations and support lead to learning and academic success. We are so happy to have you here. My name is Britt, and I am the Assistant Director of Access and Accommodation in the Student Disability Center. I am excited to give you a virtual tour of the SDC services, introduce you to our staff, and discuss some updates related to access during the pandemic. Let's get started. First, I would like to introduce you to the Student Disability Center professional staff. Many of our staff are graduates of Colorado State University and have even received services from the SDC and worked as student employees in the office. We like to create a sense of community in our office, and we can't wait to welcome you aboard. First, I will introduce myself. Again, my name is Britt Otter, or Brittany Otter, but my friends and family call me Britt. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington, but when I moved out here for my master's program in 2012, I couldn't give up the constant sunshine and beautiful mountains. My pronouns are she and her, and as the Assistant Director of Access and Accommodations, I supervise the accommodation specialists, student interns, and inclusive community assistant in the office. I also advise the Delta Alpha Pi Honor Society, specifically centered around students with disabilities, and the Associated Student Senators for the SDC. My hobbies are knitting and spending lots of time with my 14-year-old Shih Tzu named Wookie. And I also really love Harry Potter. Brooke Simmons is our administrative assistant. Brooke uses she and her pronouns and supervises our front desk student assistants. Brooke originally came from Central Texas. She earned her bachelor's degree in exercise sports science from Texas State University. In June 2019, Brooke moved to Fort Collins, Colorado, where she is currently pursuing a master's degree in ecological restoration at CSU and working as a full-time professional staff for the SDC. Outside of work, Brooke enjoys reading, crafting, working out, watching sunrise, and cycling. Kathleen Ivy is one of our accommodation specialists. Kathleen uses she and her pronouns and is one of 3 accommodation specialists in our office. Kathleen has worked at the SDC since 1994. She grew up, married, and raised her 2 daughters in Colorado. She earned both her bachelor's degrees in English and her master's in education from CSU. When she's not at work, Kathleen enjoys gardening, painting, and playing with her dogs. Joe Tyner is our newest accommodation specialist. Joe uses he and him pronouns and just joined us just about a week ago. Joe is from Colorado and a proud Ram. He earned both his undergraduate degree in journalism and media communications and his master's degree in education and human resource studies from CSU. He has held a few different roles at CSU, including positions at the Assistive Technology Resource Center, with the Student Success Initiatives, and most recently with Tell Someone program. He also previously spent 6 years working in the Student Disability Center as both an undergraduate and graduate student. Outside of work, Joe enjoys going to concerts, baking, and learning new things. Amanda Wimmer is another one of our accommodation specialists. Amanda uses she and her pronouns. Amanda has been working at the SDC professionally since 2014. She is originally from Littleton, Colorado. Amanda proudly earned her bachelor's degree in psychology at CSU. When she did her undergrad, she worked at the SDC as a student staff, as well as utilizing accommodations from the Student Disability Center. She is currently pursuing her master's in business administration at CSU. Outside of work, Amanda enjoys stand-up paddleboarding, traveling, enjoying the outdoors, going to CSU sports events, go Rams, and spending time with her friends and family. Mel is another accommodation specialist. Mel Lafferty uses she, her, and hers pronouns. Mel was born and raised in North Dakota. Mel enjoys skiing, traveling, cooking, practicing mindfulness, and spending time with her dog Timber. Mel is a doctoral student in higher education and student affairs leadership at the University of Northern Colorado, with a master's in clinical psychology from Eastern Illinois University. She has a background in mental health counseling, academic advising, tutoring, and disability services. Nico Gowdy is our coordinator of accessible text accommodations. Nico uses he and him pronouns. Nico has been working at the SDC professionally since 2014. Before getting hired on as a professional staff, he worked in the office as a student staff. Nico is from Cannon City, Colorado, but was born and raised in Germany. He earned his bachelor's degree in anthropology from CSU and is currently working on his master's degree in business administration. Outside of work, he enjoys spending time with family, working out, reading, and listening to music. Alicia Smuda is our coordinator of alternative testing accommodations. Alicia uses she and her pronouns. Alicia started working at the SDC in 2015 as a course transcriber and was hired into her current role in 2017. She is originally from Colorado Springs. Alicia earned her bachelor's degree in art from CSU. Outside of work, Alicia enjoys the outdoors, reading, and creating art. Dee Dee Cleaver is our coordinator of deaf and hard of hearing accommodations. Dee Dee uses she and her pronouns. Dee Dee has been working at the SDC for over 25 years as both a sign language interpreter and as the coordinator of deaf and hard of hearing accommodations. She is originally from Crete, Nebraska. Outside of work, she enjoys crafting, reading, and playing with her cats. Gina Bird is our staff interpreter. Gina uses she and her pronouns. Gina has been working as a sign language interpreter at the SDC for over 30 years. She is originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Outside of work, she enjoys listening to music, cooking, and spending time with her granddaughter. But wait, there's more! In addition to our professional staff, we also have over 22 student staff in our office that support our front desk, testing, alternate format, note-taking, captioning, and many other operations in our office. We couldn't do it without them. We also have 12 amazing American Sign Language interpreters and 12 to 15 classroom transcribers who support communication access for deaf and hard of hearing students. We love you all and appreciate you so much. Next, let's talk about the services we provide to students with disabilities. Perhaps even you might want to connect with us after watching this video. Who knows? I sure hope so. As we look to the fall 2020 semester, many of us have questions and uncertainty. What the SDC does know is that we have almost 2,500 students currently enrolled in fall courses that have documented disabilities or medical conditions, and we are noticing a shift in the number of students who are utilizing our services. As the pie chart on the slide shows, we have 9% of our total disabled student population identifying as having an immune-compromising health condition that makes them at additional risk for catching a virus. We also see that in addition to those 9%, 19% of our students have some kind of chronic health condition, such as migraines, narcolepsy, or epilepsy. About 40% of our registered students have a mental health disability, and of those students, 21.7% have anxiety, 6.3% have depression, and 11.7% have some other diagnosis, such as bipolar disorder or PTSD. 20.6% of our students have EDD or ADHD, 14.5% have a learning disability of some kind, like dyslexia or central auditory processing, and 3% have a concussion or head injury. So after all that information, this might spark a thought. I'm not sure if my disability, medical condition, or learning challenge fits in one of those categories. Or perhaps I don't have a formal diagnosis, but I have certainly been impacted by something that affects my ability to access my learning environment. Or maybe I do have a diagnosis, but it is really hard for me to get access to medical documentation, either because of insurance barriers or difficulty getting in touch with my doctor during the pandemic, or other factors. Does this mean I can't work with you at the SDC? No way. Come on in, sit right down, and let's talk about it. We recognize students may be in different places in their disability journey, and many don't even identify with the term disability at all. That shouldn't stop you from being able to get equal access to your learning environment. If you notice that you are experiencing a barrier to accessing your learning environment, and it seems like it may be due to something like a disability, medical condition, or other related learning challenge, please do not hesitate to reach out to make an appointment, even if you don't have the documentation readily available. We care about you, not your diagnosis. So what exactly are accommodations? Accommodations, as we define them here at the SDC, are an adjustment to the educational environment to reduce barriers caused by the inherent inaccessibility of institutions not built by or for those with disabilities. These accommodations provide equitable access to university life, housing, and coursework. Also, accommodations are a legal civil right afforded to you through the Americans with Disabilities Act, a federal law that was passed in 1990 and reauthorized in 2008. The picture on this slide shows two scenarios, one entitled Equality and another entitled Equity. In the equality picture, every one of the 4 individuals is given the same size bike to ride, although each rider is not able to enjoy the bike. In the equity picture, each rider is given a bike that suits their individual needs. In the SDC, we are committed to providing individual case-by-case solutions that fit individual needs, like in the equity picture. This way, accommodations fit your barriers that you're experiencing. Examples of barriers may include difficulty completing exams in a timed environment, difficulty focusing in class and writing down lecture notes at the same time, nervousness about raising your hand in the classroom or being called on out of the blue, consistently being late to class or turning in homework late, though it's out of your control, and feeling really nervous about what the teacher might think. Having a hard time getting out of bed, let alone working on schoolwork. Or difficulty accessing course materials because they're not in an accessible format. Some examples of accommodations that may reduce these barriers are extended time on exams, like time and a half, ability to record lectures using assistive technology, the ability to not be called on in class out of the blue, but instead waiting to raise your hand and being called on that way, extension on assignments and attendance flexibility, alternate format textbooks, class handouts, and course materials in a digitally accessible format, and emotional support animals that may provide additional comfort and support. Speaking of support animals, I thought I'd give you a little information about the 2 different kinds of support animals on campus. The first are service dogs. Service dogs are really service animals, dogs or miniature horses, trained to perform a specific task for a person with a disability, and they can go anywhere that person with a disability goes. You don't need to come to our office and register your service dog or miniature horse, and you don't need permission from anyone to bring your service dog or horse to campus. On the flip side, emotional support animals are any household pet that provides emotional comfort, and resides in an individual's dwelling or residence. It also must be connected to some kind of mental health or psychological connection to a disability. Please note that you can't bring your emotional support animal with you to the classroom or to the residence hall, and you can't bring it with you on the bus or anywhere else other than in your residence hall room. You cannot bring an emotional support animal to campus or residence hall until you have contacted the SDC and gone through the approval process. So, the difference between a service dog and an emotional support animal? A service dog is really a dog that's allowed to be anywhere the person is to perform a specific task. And it's a pet that resides in the residence hall, but first you have to get approval from the SDC before you take it to your residence hall. Are we clear? If you are a staff member and you notice a service dog on campus and you're not sure if it really is a service dog, really there are only two questions that you may ask to see if it is a service dog for a person with a disability. The first question is the dog a service animal required because of a disability? The second question is, what work or task has the dog been trained to perform? That's it. If the person cannot answer those questions, then you can ask them to remove the dog from campus. If they can, then they're allowed to be there. Staff cannot ask about the person's disability, ask them to submit documentation to them, require special identification cards or training documentation for the dog, or ask that the dog demonstrate its ability to perform that work or task in front of that staff person. Here's just some important things to note about our services as we wrap up. If you're wondering if you qualify for our services, just set up an appointment and we can talk about it. Our schedules can get full, especially at the start of the semester, so call ahead of time and get an appointment in advance. The SDC is here to help guarantee access, not success. So doing so in advance is better for you because it really isn't helpful in the 11th hour. An appropriate accommodation does not include substituting core courses or changing or lowering expectations for students with disabilities. In other words, we can't modify the course curriculum to fit your needs. Students are responsible for their own personal services, such as finding, hiring, or compensating a personal aide for hygiene care. Same with personal tutoring and transportation to and from campus. So, are you interested in signing up? Here are the 3 steps to do so. First, contact the SDC to make an appointment by phone at 970-491-6385 or by email at sdc@collegestate.edu. Step 2, meet with an accommodation specialist and discuss barriers you experience and accommodations to remove them. Step 3, turn in documentation, if necessary, and complete any paperwork needed to activate your accommodations. We look forward to seeing you soon. As we are all making some adjustments, fall will look a little different for the SDC. We are still providing students with all the same accommodations and services they need to receive equitable access to higher education. And due to the new environment of mixed face-to-face, online, and hybrid coursework, as well as public health considerations, we have additional barriers that we must address through different approaches to and new requests for accommodations. We are open Our front desk in Tilt 121 will be open during our usual business hours, Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. However, we will have limited staff in the physical office as we maintain social distancing and uphold public health protocols. You may email us at sdc@colostate.edu, chat with us through virtual drop-ins with accommodation specialists posted on our website, or stop by our office in Tilt 121 during business hours to make an appointment or ask questions. You can also find many answers to your frequently asked questions, such as what accommodations are available for immune-compromised students, at our Fall 2020 Frequently Asked Questions page. As you enter our office and move throughout campus, we ask you uphold CSU public health protocols out of respect and responsibility for our CSU RAM community. Please stand 6 feet apart, even when sitting in our lobby or space or waiting in line. Please wear your face covering unless you have been provided an adjustment or exemption through the SDC or Office of Equal Opportunity. And if you notice someone is not wearing a face covering and it makes you uncomfortable, rather than approaching this individual, we encourage you to submit a report and limit your own health risk. We also want to update you on our service changes for fall semester. Due to public health protocols, we will not be operating our accessible van transportation services. You can find additional services available, such as Dial-A-Ride, on our van transportation website. With social distancing restrictions to space, our alternative testing center will be providing accommodations for a limited number of students Mondays through Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Fridays, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. All students will still receive their exam accommodations in collaboration with our academic departments and the SDC. Please consult the SDC FAQs website and your student email for more information. We are also conducting all appointments and drop-ins over phone, Teams, and Zoom. In addition to changes in our hours and delivery of services, we have responded to the needs of our students by providing additional supports for accommodations this fall. If you have an underlying health condition or disability that creates a barrier for wearing a face covering, you may fill out the student request for exemption from COVID-19 face covering requirement on our website to request an adjustment or exemption to this requirement. The link is provided here. If you are experiencing a barrier to accessing our educational environment this fall, but are not sure who to contact, you may also fill out the Report and Access Barrier form linked above. We will reach out to you as soon as possible to resolve the barrier. If you have a compromised immune system and/or health condition that makes you more vulnerable to COVID-19, and you would like to request remote access to face-to-face components of your courses, you may contact the SDC for this accommodation. Please note, we cannot provide this accommodation in cases where it would fundamentally alter a course objective. If your loved one or roommate has a compromised immune system, or you care for someone who has recently contracted COVID, or you yourself has just recently contracted COVID, you may connect with the Student Case Management Program at helpforrams@colostate.edu and 970-491-8051 to make arrangements for your classes. We can't wait to have you back on campus, online, or however you will be enrolled in classes this fall. We are just excited to work with you. Contact us through email, phone, in the office, or through our website. Welcome back, Rams!